Good morning guys, it's day 3 on our trip to try and get back to the UK. We had a good day yesterday. It was a long day, but we safely made it through both those borders and across Spain, and we're now in southern France. We're just on a little air up in the mountains. I picked this point because it's about 20 kilometres away from the nearest town, right up in the hills. So I feel it's quite a safe location. We're right on the border between Spain and France, but we're on the France sort of side now. We did cross over the French border. I've done a little bit of a U-turn really to get to this park up. We came across the designated border crossing and then sort of came round in a big loop and come back on ourselves and came up the mountains to this little park up. I know this one is safe and secure because we actually stayed here on our first trip when we came down in a little tiny little village called Coldebardan, which is right on the border between France and Spain. So we did an overnight stop here. You can just see the vans parked in the air behind me. It's a tiny little car park, no services here, just a car park. We came up the mountain and then just over my shoulder, I don't know whether you'll be able to see in the distance there where those two buildings are there. There's border control there, so there's police there. There's 2 French policemen there last night. He did stop the vans and ask us where we were going because you can, if you continue on this road, you actually end up back in Spain. So we just said that we just wanted to use the air here just for an overnight sleep, and then we were heading back to the UK. We showed him our paperwork and they allowed us just to go into the air here. So when we come out this morning, we won't need to go through that border control. We'll just head back into France. The police on both borders have been absolutely fine, you know, no problems at all. I think as long as they're happy that, you know, we're travelling home, they're happy to let us through. We're just going to have a bit of breakfast, cup of tea, cup of coffee, and then the first order of the day today is the guys have got to find a local vet where they can get their dog passport stamped, have the dogs wormed, and then we will travel up through France and we'll find another overnight stop because the dogs have got to have their tablets for at least 24 hours before those guys can get onto the train. I mean, we could of course ourselves and Sue and Paul Brown could shoot straight up towards the train, but I really want to make sure that these other guys are safe and sound and help them in any way I can. So we're going to stick together as much as possible and help each other out on this trip back to the UK and make sure that everybody gets back safe and sound. So after those first 2 days and a bit of a long day yesterday, thanks Debs.
Recognise that cackle anyway.
How are you both feeling?
We're feeling quite shattered, aren't we?
Yeah.
Well, Paul's probably feeling more shattered than I because he's the driver.
Yeah.
But feeling positive, we've sort of cracked his back now, and last little stint through France and then back home to good old Blighty. So
We're just going to take a bit of an easy ride up through France today. I think we've got a nice little spot for our last overnight stop, haven't we? Hopefully it'll be okay.
the weather's okay, so
yeah, the weather's glorious up here.
Well, it's quite poignant because the stop that we're planning to go to was our first stop when we arrived, so it looks like it'll be our last stop, and I believe it was also that you've been to that air before as well, haven't you?
It was our very first night in our van ever.
Yeah.
So the first night we ever slept in our van, we slept at that location. So yeah, it will be quite special, I think.
and it's got all the services, so at least we can top up.
And we've got a little bit of wine left, so we can perhaps have a little bit of a glass later when we arrive.
Cool.
Something to look forward to.
All right, thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks,
you.
Morning, guys.
Morning, guys.
Right, so how are you feeling first of all after the first couple of days?
Shattered.
Yeah, it's been a long day yesterday.
It has, yeah. Well, I was expecting it to be a lot worse with the hours we did, but it was a pleasant-ish journey.
Yeah.
Nice, good weather.
No drama or anything, was it?
No drama,
good,
no traffic really, bar HGVs.
So today's agenda, first of all, you've got to get the little dogs sorted out.
Yeah.
We've got total 5 dogs to worm.
Right.
and get their paperwork signed so we can cross the channel.
Tomorrow.
Have you managed to sort that out, Debbie?
Yeah, I've sorted 11 o'clock, so we best get our skates on and get up there. It's about an hour's drive.
Did they understand you?
They did. She must have a Geordie translation book up there, or Geordie Mackham.
Oh, that's good. So we'll better get cracking then, get the dog sorted out, and then we'll find another overnight stop in North France somewhere.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant, Greg.
Right, good luck, guys.
And you.
You.
So luckily enough, we've managed to find a vet's, which is only about 20 minutes away from where we were camped. Debbie rang the vets and they said that they could book all 5 dogs in. The guys are there now. I think they're just going to stay in the car park. They've got the tablets themselves, the guys that are with us. All they need the vet to do is to witness them administering the tablet and then stamp the passport, I believe. So it's a simple process, and then they'll date stamp the dog's passport, and then you can't get on the tunnel. You've got to wait 24 hours. So we're going to continue driving north through France. We've found a camping spot in the north of France. It should be fairly quiet, and we'll do another overnight stop later today, and then in the morning we've just got a short trip then to the tunnel to catch the train back. So we'll just hang on here for a little bit with these guys until they get the dogs sorted out, and then we'll be on the move again. So this is Martin and Deb's beautiful dog Molly. Obviously there's certain rules and regulations with dogs about bringing them back into the country, so for all the guys at home that don't know what the procedure is, perhaps Debs, you could just explain what we had to do this morning with Molly.
Every time you go out the country, Molly's got to have a worming tablet.
Okay.
For tapeworm, etc. Yeah, to get back into UK. Obviously you've got to wait 24 hours for it to work, sort of thing. But she's got a little passport there.
Okay.
So obviously you take that into the vet. What they do is they give her a worming, what she's had, how many milligrams, stamp it, sign it. And then they also do like a little examination of Molly.
Health check.
Like a health check, looks at the skin, the ears, the teeth, stuff like that, listen to the heartbeat.
Just to make sure she's fit and healthy to travel.
Yeah, and then they also check our chip.
Okay.
So make sure you've got the right
sure
dog.
You've got the right dog.
Right.
We also had Molly's rabies injection, didn't we? I mean, it's not law as yet.
Sure.
But we got it
We've
done.
had it all done,
yeah, we had
because
it just in case.
we were going out when it was they didn't know what was going to happen with Brexit.
And then obviously because of the current situation, did they do anything different?
No, not this time.
Not this time,
No, nothing.
but they would have if we had to wait for the rabies.
Yeah.
You would have to wait. Was it 2 months?
Can be up to 2 to 3 months depending on the test if it comes through positive.
Right,
So,
okay. But the only thing, I think all you guys were in the car park and had to just go in one at a time, didn't you?
Yeah, we all had to. Yeah, we all had to wear gloves and one at a time, obviously.
Yeah.
So
now that was what, about 11 o'clock this morning or something like that? We did that?
No,
it was a bit earlier,
it
wasn't
was a bit earlier. I was up.
Yeah.
I was up with the birds this morning. Not
So
like me.
you've got to stay here at least 24 hours.
24 hours
before you can get on the
prior
tunnel.
to UK, yeah.
All right, brilliant.
And when we get back to, they'll check all of Molly's details.
that's it, yeah.
Make sure it's been stamped.
Oh, so they'll have a check as you come into
Yeah.
the,
As well,
yeah.
They'll check it
They'll
obviously
check it, yeah.
this side, France side, then they'll check it, a quick check on the English side as well to see if they've got it all.
How's Molly been with the travelling? Because we've done quite a bit in the.
Oh, she's absolutely a little diamond in the car, isn't she?
Yeah, she's been sleeping a lot in the.
Has she? She's normally full of beans, isn't she?
Yeah, she sleeps in the footwell.
When she's in Nelly, she loves it, don't you? Eh?
But she's been absolutely brilliant, excellent.
Oh, she looks happy enough anyway.
She's a hippie dog.
No problems whatsoever. Considering the amount of energy she's got,
yeah,
she's coped really well, and there's no ill effects at all on her.
Brilliant. Yeah. That's lovely. Thanks, guys.
No problem.
Cheers, Greg.
Cheers. A lot of the time when we do these payments, we try and do them with a bit of cash. We've got some coins there, and if it's like this one, like 5.70, even if we chuck another euro in there, I don't collect the change. We just leave it in there. I'd rather not have the change. So we've been reading your comments again today on the drive. It really does help to pass the time, and you know, thanks again for everybody who's given us loads of support. We really do appreciate it. It's really helping us on this journey and keeping our morale up. One of the comments that's been mentioned quite a few times is about how we printed the documents. You know, if you get them by email or you've got them electronically, how do you get paper copies? Even in times like this, there's a number of places that you can go that have photocopying or printing facilities. A lot of supermarkets will have them. Pharmacies will also have them, news agents or post offices, and you'll find in times like this they will still be open. If you just have a smartphone and that's all you have, another good option is to look for a pharmacy with photo printing facilities. You can simply connect your smartphone to their photo printing machine and print it in the largest scale that they've got. Screenshot your phone if you need to convert it into a photograph, and then print it as big as you can. A4 size would be ideal, but that's another way of doing it. I picked another motorhome Air on the way back because in France in particular, more so than any other country in Europe, the Airs are so well provided for. They really have got it sorted out over here. This particular Air that we're going to, we'll show you when we get there. They've got free water, free service point, and even free electric. Not that we need electric with the sunshine at the moment, but it just goes to show you that the local community have created a car park there to welcome tourists into the village and provided all those free services for them. And in return they're getting the tourism. So it's a kind of win-win situation. No doubt that we're going to need to stop for fuel before we get there, because we're doing another epic trip today. Yesterday we used a full tank of diesel, and I'm sure today we'll use another full tank of diesel. So we'll touch base with you again once we stop for some fuel. Right, we're just going to fill up with diesel. Obviously I'm gloved up. I'm only going to use my card, and then we'll sanitise that once we're done. So someone made a really good point in the comments, and I think it's worth mentioning. Quite a few of you have actually mentioned the fact that we're not wearing masks. I would have liked to have had a mask, but we just couldn't get hold of any. They're in really short supply. I managed to get the gloves, but I couldn't get any masks. But another point going on from that, I know from my own experience in the building industry, the rules and regulations changed on masks, and to have an effective mask, it really needs to be a face-fitting mask. It needs to have a seal that seals around your face and then filters on it like a respirator to do a proper job. So what good is it wearing a simple paper mask if they're not really that effective? And somebody made a really good point, and that is it prevents you from touching your mouth. So okay, it might not stop everything being drawn in through the sides of it, you know, the air can get in down the gaps and underneath, but it stops you touching your mouth, and that is probably the biggest way that these things are transferred, because you're touching door handles, handrails on stairs, you're touching money, cards, everything like that, and then you'll be amazed how many times unwittingly just you touch your face, you touch your eyes, you rub your hair, you're chewing your fingernails. You'll be amazed how many times you touch your face. So wearing that mask, although it may not prevent all the air coming in, it will stop the transfer from hand to mouth. So that's a really good point, that. So I guess in that sense, if you haven't got a mask, the next best thing would be to tie a scarf round, or you know, those like sort of snood things that people wear, you know, ruffled up round the neck, just pulled out over your face, even a balaclava, whatever you need to stop yourself from touching your face and transferring it to your mouth. So to minimise our exposure on this long drive up through France today, what we've decided to do is combine our lunch stop with our diesel stop. So we'll pick a nice big motorway services that's got a huge, great big rest area. We'll fill up with diesel, make sure everybody's topped up, and then we'll just go and have a bite to eat right out the back of the rest area, out the way. We'll stretch our legs, let the dogs go to the toilet, and then we'll be back on the road. So we want to make the least number of stops possible, really. Another thing we're going to have to do when we get back is give this thing a damn good steam clean with all these bugs on the front that we've picked up. I don't even want to think what's on there, to be fair. That's going to have a real good going over. Look at the state of the screen as well, look. I don't know if you can pick that up. Oh.
Hi guys, just want to say a big thank you to everyone that's mentioned me in the comments we've been reading the last couple of days while we've been driving. I know I don't appear much on the videos or say much, but I really do appreciate all the comments that we get. Also just want to say a massive hi to Mum and Dad, we miss you loads, hope to see you soon, even if it is at distancing. We'll give you a big wave, and hi Greg's mum, we love you lots.
There was quite a few reasons why we decided to come home. One of the main ones was our health insurance. This trip was always going to end at the end of April because we were due to come back for the Stratford-upon-Avon meetup, the Overland show and the International Campervan show, and then obviously a couple of weeks after that we got Quirky Campers. So we was always going to be coming back at this time. So when we looked to get our European health insurance cover, we only got a policy that would take us up to the end of April rather than an annual policy, because they're very, very expensive. We had an all-encompassing policy which covered us for £10 million. It was a long duration because we knew we was going to be out here for months. So it was a considerable amount of money. It was about 250 quid. So we didn't want to pay for the annual one, so that ran out, or is going to run out at the end of April. So we would have had to come back anyway. And I think even though those two shows are cancelled, I don't think under the current climate that world travel would have extended our insurance policy with the current risk. And I'm pretty sure that if I went to a new insurance company, no one's going to give you cover to be travelling around Europe in the present climate, because you're not supposed to be travelling around Europe. So we were stuck. You know, if anything would have happened to us in a foreign country and we needed medical assistance, we wouldn't have been able to pay for it. So apart from anything else, that was a major concern of ours and one of the major reasons why we're now coming home. So the sun's setting on the third day of our trip back to the UK. We're still got about 2 hours to go before we actually get to our park up tonight. So again, it's very similar to yesterday. No doubt it'll be dark by the time we get to the little air that we've picked out. But I will say though, on this trip, we've sat in this seat for 9-10 hours a day, maybe 9 hours at least, and I've had very little fatigue. So if anyone's thinking of buying a van, these Mercedes Sprinters are really comfortable to drive. I would have thought I'd have got backache or neck ache, or it's just a really comfortable driving position. You know, we've done 9 or 10 hours a day for 3 days straight, and I feel fine. I feel really refreshed. So there you go. I can't comment about other vans, maybe they're just as good, but Mercedes Sprinter, excellent. So we're nearly at the park up. As you can see, we've lost all the light now. So I've just knocked about 5 miles an hour off the speed, because it's obviously a little bit more difficult to drive in the dark, especially when you don't know the roads. Just keep in mind that the guys are behind me. We've got 4 vans behind us, so I don't want to lose anybody. Everybody's got the destination in the sat nav, but the roads are a little bit tricky, so we're just keeping a mindful on that. We're probably about another half hour or so and we'll be there. Grab a bite to eat and then all get to bed. I've got a little bit of editing to do just to make sure this video goes out for you guys in the morning. So, not long now, we're nearly there. So we've made it to our park up. I'll show you a bit more about it first thing in the morning when it's light. Guys are all lined up over there. We're obviously in the van. Alright, Lou?
Yeah.
How you feeling?
Hungry, tired. It's been a long few days.
Yeah, we got here at 9:30. Lou immediately jumped onto the kitchen and has rustled us up this beautiful grilled pork chops, new potatoes and carrots with a lovely gravy. While she was doing that, I was downloading all of today's footage onto the laptop. So I'm going to get stuck into this and then get the computer out and start editing tomorrow's video for you, so it's up in the morning. And then hopefully jump in my bed, and tomorrow we can have a bit of a lie-in. We haven't got so much of a long day tomorrow, thankfully. So we're nearly there. It's been a long 3 days, but I think it's been better this way to minimise the risk to ourselves. We've just got the tunnel crossing tomorrow, which we've never done, so that'll be interesting. We've always come across on the ferry. And then tomorrow afternoon we'll be back in the UK. If you found these videos to be helpful to you, please do give us a thumbs up. And as always, leave us a comment in the section below. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers.